Here's how to do windshields. So what I started out with doing was I put some tape lines in. I drew a rectangle. Actually, I'll do this. I drew a rectangle so I could steal some lines off it. And I took a tape line from here to the bottom of this side or front view. And then I took one off of this and I went this way to the outermost point. And then I took one off of this tape line straight up in the air to the highest point. And those tape lines let me visualize this rectangle from here down to here. So that's half of the front. And then I moved it over. And actually the way I'm going to move it over is I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this point on the axis. And I'm going to line it up with one of these halfway points. And then I'm going to make sure that it matches this. I'm going to say, and it probably would right now, but I'm going to make sure that the top point of this, if I move it up and down, hit the up arrow key, the highest point of that rectangle has to line up with the top of this. It actually says it moved 0 inches in the bar, so it's probably in the right position. But, whoops. So, ideally, again, one way you can see this, if you did a push-pull, the height should match. It should smash right through the top. The bottom should match right through the bottom. And it's really going through one side of this. I'm going to hide this guy. Right, so it fits perfectly. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is actually paint this transparent. And then I'm going to switch the views. I'm going to go to the little film clipboard thing here. Change over to this different type of view, which they call a parallel projection, which is correct, or an orthographic view. We click on that. Gives you this sort of weird non-perspective view. Your view is going to be one of these guys. It's either going to be like 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock. That's like, this is the front, that's the back. I think it's probably going to be the front. It is. And the weird thing about this view is that you can't use orbit, because as soon as you use orbit, it's not lined up visually. So it has to be, whoops. So when you hit that, you hit this guy, hit whichever, it's either going to be 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, one of those guys. Find your way around through this. Right there it is. But I can roll the mouse wheel. I can hit H for the hand tool, but you can't orbit because that will mess it up. So I'm going to zoom in. And you're looking like, it's like looking through a piece of glass at this. And that lets me see its shape. So what I want to do is decide, like, it's kind of like if you were drawing on a piece of glass looking straight through at this. So I can decide where I want the windshield. So I'm going to say it's going to start up in here. It's going to curve down into here someplace. And again, I'm just going to do this fast and whatever. Now one thing, when this happens, if it arcs down, it's going to meet at a point in the middle, because this is only half. If you did this, it's going to go up to a point in the middle. So I think I'm going to kind of just ease it off like that and make sure that that becomes a thing. There's a little piece of junk in here. Okay, so that's that. It's like you're looking through a computer screen at this. Now I can go back to the normal view, which is this guy up here. So that's built like that. And what I'm going to do is take this, maybe I'll paint this whole thing a color. Sometimes you have to check the back. See, it's not painted on the back. SketchUp has a mind of its own. So I paint both sides. I'm going to take this and I'm going to do either P for push-pull or P-Alt. Probably safest to do P-Alt to pull a copy of this out. And I'm going to let it smash right through that. And that's going to go through it exactly the same way as we had it before, lined up exactly the way we saw it. So it probably looks a little weird right now. This thing isn't even a group or anything. It's just sitting there. I'm going to get inside this component, click it 9,000 times until I get dots. It means we can edit it now. And I'm going to right click and say intersect faces with model. And if all goes well, it's going to, after I hide this, you're going to see that it burned those lines in to that shape. So I think I'll unhide the other component. Maybe I'll group this and hide it. You can see there's my windshield. So when I get in here and edit this, I might have to paint these guys individually. That, and that. I'm going to hide those lines, so I'll hit E for erase, but I have to hold down Shift so I can hide lines instead of that. And now I've got that. There's still that center kind of membrane in there. Eventually, what I'm going to definitely do with this, I'm going to move a copy of this out. Definitely, at some point, get in there, edit this component, double-click this edge, and hide it. Now, it says unhide because part of it's hidden, so I'm going to unhide it, and then double-click it, and hide it. All right, so that does that to that, and then this guy looks better. And then at some point, after you guys add wings and all that stuff on, I might, one of the last things I'd probably get in here, usually we like to edit these where you can actually see the lines, how it's constructed. So if I go to the glasses and I go down here to soften and smooth edges, sometimes you bring it all the way down so you can actually see all your lines, what it's made out of. But at the end, we'll probably turn both these on and then bring it up. Not all the way up, it'll look weird, but probably somewhere in the 30s, 40s in here. And I've got that. Kind of a weird shape, but it's because I drew it really fast. And the same thing would work on the sides. Even if I did this fast, I would go like, I'm going to take a circle and find the right axis, which is that, not that, not that, it's that. I'm going to do this. So same thing could work here. If I just took this and I pushed it out until it smashed through this thing, move it to where I want it. If you like round windows. About ×2. Inside of this thing, get inside it, get it till it's edible, intersect faces with model. Give it a second. There it is. If you're lucky, it'll separate like this. I could shift click this, and then multi-glass.